The Houston Rockets made a lot of moves over the summer of 2016. They first let their starting center Dwight Howard walk. Dwight Howard has a lot of issues with James Harden and the management of the Rockets. In the 2015-2016 season, Dwight Howard averaged the second lowest points per game since his rookie season, and his usage rate fell nearly 5% from 23 points rate to 18.4. Dwight can't deal with his reduced role on the offensive end, and in July he announced that he would go home to play for the Atlanta Hawks. The second thing that they did was sign Eric Gordon to a 4-year $53 million deal and Ryan Anderson to a 4-year $80 million deal. Eric Gordon averaged 15.2 points, 2.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and shot 38.4% from deep in the 2015-2016 season. Ryan Anderson is also a threat from beyond the arc. Since entering the league in 2008, Ryan Anderson has made more three-pointers than any other players measuring 6'10" or taller. And the Houston Rockets signed all those players because of one guy, their new head coach, the one and only Mike D'Antoni. The head coach is different, the roster is different, the style of the offense is completely different, and it gave the Houston Rockets a truly successful season. They ended the 2016-2017 season with a 55-27 record, and their franchise cornerstone James Harden was competing with his childhood friend Russell Westbrook for the MVP the whole season. In the 81 games that Harden played, he averaged 29.4 points, 8.1 rebounds, 11.2 assists, and get 22 triple-doubles. James Harden eventually finished second in the MVP race, and Eric Gordon, who they signed in the summer, ended up winning Sixth Man of the Year award. The Rockets also acquired Lou Williams from the Lakers to add some firepower before the trade deadline. However, this Houston team ended their postseason run in a very embarrassing way. In Game 6 of the 2017 Western Conference semifinals, the Houston Rockets get blown out by a Spurs team that lost their superstar player Kawhi Leonard due to injury. James Harden, who was a true MVP in many people's eyes, choked and had a terrible Game 6, and Lou Williams only averaged 7.3 points in that series. James Harden was clearly fatigued, and it's obvious they need a better supporting cast. They need someone that they can handle the ball, score, play defense, and facilitate at a high level. And Daryl Morey set his eyes on none other than Chris Paul. Chris Paul is one of the best point guards of all time, but his team underperformed in the playoffs year after year. The 32-year-old realized that he needs to get himself out of the city of Angelos, so he demanded a trade. Daryl Morey is a genius and a wizard. He convinced Chris Paul to opt in and then obtain him by trading Lou Williams, Patrick Beverley along with some other pieces to the Clippers. The pairing of James Harden and Chris Paul was initially questioned by basketball fans because both CP3 and Harden are ball-dominant players, but the duo found a way to figure things out. The Houston Rockets finished the 2017-2018 season with an impressive 65-17 record. They had the highest offensive rating and the third highest defensive rating in the regular season. After finishing second in the MVP race twice over the past 4 years, James Harden finally got his first Most Valuable Player award. The Beard averaged 30.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, 8.8 assists, and led the league in PER win share, offensive win share, and box plus minus. He is one of the best ball handler, scorer, and playmaker in the league. And Chris Paul proved that he was a guy that the Rockets need to achieve more by averaging 18.6 points, 5.4 rebounds, 7.9 assists. But the Houston Rockets traded for Chris Paul not only to just win regular season games, but also to compete for a championship. Well, Chris Paul did exactly what the Rockets wish he could do in the 2018 playoffs. He averaged 21.1 points, 5.9 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and had a couple of really good performances. In Game 5 of the Western Conference semi-finals, Chris Paul scored a career-high 41 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and had 8 assists. Making the conference finals was not surprising. What surprised many people is the fact that the Houston Rockets pushed the unbeatable Golden State Warriors to 7 games. And Chris Paul is one of the major reasons why that happened. Paul is really strong, and his frame and strength gives players who are skinnier a lot of trouble. He will use his quickness to get past defenders. When he attacks, he will use his frame to help him finish. Chris Paul plays good defense. He shoots a lot of threes and made a lot of them. Mid-range jumper is something that Daryl Morey and Mike D'Antoni always try to avoid, but they allow Chris Paul to do that because he excels at it. The Houston Rockets pushed the Warriors to 7 games because they have Chris Paul. When Chris Paul injured his leg and missed Game 6 and Game 7, the Rockets blew a 3-2 lead and James Harden had 2 underwhelming games. Off-season is when things usually get tougher. Trading for Chris Paul helps the Rockets win 67 games in the regular season. Trading for Chris Paul helps the Rockets make it all the way to the conference finals. But CP's contract was expiring, he would become a free agent in the summer. Before talking about what eventually happened and how it panned out, I want you guys to make a decision. What would you guys do if you are Daryl Morey? Just spend a couple of seconds thinking about it. The second best player on your team is a 33-year-old point guard. He used to be a superstar and he can still play at a very high level at the age of 33 years old. However, he has suffered a lot of injuries, and when you need him the most in the postseason, he is not available. Also, in order to trade for him, you gave up a lot of assets. What would you do if you are the GM? I mean, it's a tough decision, right? The NBA is like a big casino and you cannot get what you want without taking risks and gambling. The Houston Rockets always have championship aspirations, and Daryl Morey is a greedy man. He wants more. So in the end, he chose to roll the dice and gave Chris Paul a 4-year, $160 million deal. Did the Rockets make a mistake by giving Chris Paul a max? I know many people slander the Rockets for that decision, but honestly, I don't think they really have a choice. I mean, what else can they do? If you let Chris Paul leave, then what's the point of trading for him? Giving up that many assets just to have him for 1 year? They have so much success in year 1 they cannot afford to lose Chris Paul. They can't start over. I've also heard people talking about the possibility of Chris Paul taking a pay cut, but I don't think it makes sense. Chris Paul wanted a max, and a max contract is what he wants. The reason why Chris Paul chose to opt in instead of opting out is because he knows that he was going to get a max. The moment the Houston Rockets made that deal, they know they were trapped. They know what would happen if they fail, but they still want to have a try. Unfortunately, this time, they fail. Chris Paul missed over 20 games this season, and it forced James Harden to carry the team and drop 36 points per night. When he came back, he was no longer the same. Paul is no longer super athletic. Paul is no longer lightning fast. Defenders can always find a way to keep Chris Paul in front of them, and it makes his height an even bigger problem. You often see Chris Paul dribbling behind the 3-point line for 15 seconds, and when he saw the shot clock expiring, he just passed the ball to another teammate. He lost his ability to score on anybody that's guarding him. His explosiveness is gone, and it forces him to take some really tough shots. Is trading for Chris Paul a bad decision? No. It gives the Houston Rockets some short-term success. It turned the Rockets into the second best team in the entire league. If Chris Paul didn't get injured, they could have done something more, but there's no that many what-ifs, and if you make a decision, you need to live with it. Now the Houston Rockets are trying to make some big changes to their roster, but with Chris Paul making nearly $40 million a year, trading for another star is not realistic. So guys, this is today's video. I just want to make a short video talking about my thoughts on the Chris Paul and Houston Rockets situation. So if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe, please. With that being said, I am out. Peace.